What's up, guys? So today we're going to be framing out one of these cubes here behind me and sheathing it in some 1/2-inch plywood so that way we can mount our TV on it, the oversized TV that we definitely need. And with these metal buildings, I'm going to be showing you basically the best way I think to frame out these sections, because they're not the easiest. They are kind of an odd size, but I'll walk you through it. So if you are somebody who has gotten one of these metal steel buildings, I sourced mine through a company out of North Carolina, and basically these tubes back here, they are 2.5 inches, and for a 2x4 they're 3.5 inches, but at my local Lowe's I'm able to get these, I believe they're framing for mobile home boards, but they are exactly 2.5 inches wide, and I think they come in like a fixed length for ceiling heights. I think it's for convenience and speed of building those modular homes and trailers. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to frame up a box to fit in that hole, and then we're going to self-taper it to the tubes and then sheet it with this plywood, paint it, and then mount our TV up there. I do have some electrical provisions for in the future to plug the TV in, but for now it's probably just going to be an extension cord because I have to do a lot of wire running to get power to this side of the shop. So I know I'm a bit out of frame, but for the purpose of the video, I figured I would just aim the camera at the cube we're going to be working on specifically. The orientation of my shop, this is right above the workbench, and I think it's going to be the most convenient spot to have a TV. I'll probably just be using the TV mainly for just watching YouTube or playing some music and such as I'm out here building in the shop. So our overall dimension here that we're shooting for is 53 5/8 by approximately 60 1/4 inches. So one thing that has to be kept in mind when doing this is that on the bottom here we have an open empty corner, so our box will fit perfectly in there. But if you look up towards the top, they've got these brackets, so I'm going to notch my 2x to fit around that so it just fits in there like a glove. And then I'm also going to pre-frame this to where basically the TV will be on center with this box, and it will also have bracing for the mount behind it because it is a bigger TV, which the shop definitely needs. At this point here, I'm not doing anything special, just doing layout. For my top beam that goes across, if you'll remember, I'm trying to avoid those brackets, so I'm cutting it 3/8 inches shorter, so it'll bypass those brackets. And then on the bottom, we're gonna stick with the 60 1/4 that we had initially measured. And then we're gonna go ahead and do stud layout on these as well, and then we'll get it all screwed together. I've had eye surgery 3 times, so definitely don't forget your glasses. And it's kind of a weird angle, but I'm just working on the floor today. Don't forget the old speed squares on the saw trick. Get you a perfect cut every time. So our total dimension ends up at 50 5/8. That's what we're shooting for here. want to make sure that we hit 16-inch centers. So I'm going to go ahead and lay those out now. You don't really have to, but I'm also going to need to incorporate another stud in here for a little slither I'm going to have to put in of the plywood to fully sheet this. I'm going to cut another, probably 30. So my center would be there. So I'll probably go ahead and throw one at, just say 2 foot, I guess would be fine. So we'll need 2 extra studs. Now this is specifically for mounting this TV, because you could probably just frame this 2 foot on center and I'm sure it would be fine. Double check our center and figure this out, because I know our 4 foot falls on stud and our center of 60 1/4 is 30 1/8. So I'm going to mark that and then I might just rearrange these studs. So center's here, we'll go with a 1 on 16. Center, we'll put one directly. Actually, we're going to offset these two. That's what we'll do. Just to make it so the mount has a stud on either long end. And we'll even this up. So we've got one at 2 foot, and that's 6 inches from center. So then we'll just go 36. Yeah, we'll go 36 with this one. I already know this one's a 16. I know that one's a 48. So we've just got 2 foot and 36. And those I'm putting on center of my marks. Now this top board, if you remember, we cut it short. So we're gonna offset it of these studs, and I'll get you a closer view here in a moment. Very good. I think I'm about 50 years old. What do you do there? Probably couldn't have made it any tighter than that. Sweet. So there's a couple of things to keep note. Let me me zoom out here. So it does fit perfectly. I probably really don't have to screw it, but now you can see where those notches up there fit perfectly around those screws. And I mean, I just take like a little bit over an 1/8 inch off just to clear the screws, because I mean, it can hit them, you just don't want to fight them all the way in. And I think that's kind of what I ran into in this corner. I think I took just not enough off. But something else to keep in mind too is these, if you see them, they're perfectly flush. And that's because these are 2.5 and these are 2.5. But these horizontal runners, they are not exactly 2.5, like you can see right there where it's offset of that tube. So I just wouldn't bother worrying about that. At least I don't. I just make them flush with the side tubes, because I'm gonna overlap this plywood anyway, midway of the tubes, so you'll never see it when this thing's fully finished. But I suppose next we're gonna skip to putting some plywood on it, and then we'll get the TV up. I'm gonna go ahead and pop my electric box off here. I'm gonna remount this somewhere different anyway. It was just temporary. And I might need a drill to get it. Let's see if the drill will bring it off there. Oh yeah. No problem. Now that that's out of the way, so with the provisions to eventually sheathe a lot of this, like all these other squares, I'm running all my plywood vertically, and that's why I ran the stud 16 on center, because right here is our 4-foot stud, and I know a seam is going to fall there, and then we'll just have a 16-inch slice over on this end. So what I need to do next, I suppose, is, like I said, on these top and bottom runs of these metal tubes, I'm going to bring the plywood halfway down of those, and I'm just going to run it on end here. I think that's going to be the way to go. So I'll go ahead and measure and cut that up, and then we'll get it mounted. So what we're after here is I can just measure these ones. Looks like 58 1/4. And that's gonna be minus 2.5. Let's see what we can get going here. Get down here. Definitely a carpenter. That should be good to cut there. I'm gonna set the depth so it doesn't hit my concrete floor and ruin both my floor and my blade at the same time. There's absolutely zero part of this job that is a two-man. This is definitely easy sauce. I'm gonna kind of eyeball this first screw. So when I get up there, it's hopefully not such pain. Level across there, straight up down there. Did we fall center on our stud? I don't know if I'd call that center. but I could call it close enough. And close enough is good enough for me.
Yeah, they kind of. I think they pop loose once you get deep enough. But the screws have a length of plywood. What if I have to all put some screws on the top? Some screws on the issue. But this plywood also gets it out in the weather for probably a little too long.
Solid as the garage ever was. So now I need to get a measurement for this last little sliver to go on over here, and I'm probably going to do it in 2 pieces, just so I don't have to cut up another sheet, and it's all going to be painted anyway. I think it's going to make an excellent TV wall. Looks like about 13 by 55 3/4. All right. Here looks like 7 and just under 5/8 by 13. So I can find a good enough angle so I don't just block you. Maybe from this side. There we go. The last piece to the puzzle. Kind of. Hopefully there's enough paint in here to get it done. I don't know if it's gonna cover everything, but it's kind of one of them just felt like it's kind of paint jobs. I mean, I'm using really cheap plywood here, so. Let me see if I can find a piece of cardboard to do these edges with. I'll knock those out first. There we go. Now we just need to get our TV up there. All right, so we're back. The next thing I need to do is grab my tape measure. If you remember, when I made this wall, I did a stud at 2 foot and a stud at 36. So we're gonna come over here. We're gonna find our 2 foot, which is right there. And we're gonna find our 36, which is right there. And now, we're gonna plumb these down as far as we can, and that's gonna set where our base is. So it's perfectly plumb. We'll get a little mark there. We probably could carry that down a little farther, just so the TV's not so high. What we'll do is we'll just score a big mark there, so we know there's a stud. And then down this way, where's our mark? Can't see the mark. Oh, okay, there it is. So now we'll make this one level. Carry that down. So now we're gonna put our mount up. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of pre-make some marks here. So I'm gonna shoot for, center's gonna be probably in that range. So we'll go ahead and mark one here, because I like this height. And then we'll level that over on center to our other line. And we'll go ahead and pre-drill our holes. And I believe I had a stud. There we go. Good. That means we're on the right track.
So we hit the stud on both of them. So now we'll bust out our lags and then we'll fine tune the level on it. I'm gonna have this upside down. Double check, make sure we're leveled up. And we could come up a fuzz on this side. Yes, that makes it perfect. So we'll bring that up. And now we'll do our bottoms. I'll put our last two legs in. And now we just need to mount what is probably going to be a very heavy TV. So I'm going to move some stuff out of the way. See if I can't wrestle this bear up here. I should be able to just hang it, but it is pretty high up. Now, this is an old TV, so worst comes to worst. It is what it is. But hopefully, we'll have some luck and success. All right, let's see what we can do with it. There we go. All right, that's looking pretty good. Pop my safety screws in. Yeah, this is an old TV, so it could definitely use a washing. And I know that I need to do something with this top up here. I mean, I could have put it higher, but camera doesn't do it justice. It's pretty high off the ground now. I don't want to be looking up to watch it. One safety screw in. Like I said, this is an old TV of mine, so if it works, that'd be the true question, because I haven't used it in a long time. So let me just grab the cord and we'll find out. All right, she's all plugged in, and like I said, I have future plans for the power for this thing, but for now I'm just going to plug it into the old strip, and hopefully it'll work. I don't know if that, oh yeah, it's on. There we go. Look at that. It actually does work. Isn't that nice? I don't have internet hooked up. I'm not too worried about that now, but I'll give you kind of an overview before we end this video. So for reference, this is the workshop, and that's the TV height. There's a chair height. I mean, I could take it higher, but I don't know. I feel like it's already above eye level standing, so I think I'm gonna rock with how it is. I think it turned out pretty nice. It's a very nice mount. It's more, I think it was like $100 mount, but I can pull it way out and turn it at any angle, no matter where I'm sitting, so I think it's gonna work in my benefit. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. It was a fun one. It was a chore, but we ended up getting it done successfully. So if you want to see more shop videos, I still have a few videos coming up on the table, and I have a desk build and a new shelf. So if you want to see those, just leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I appreciate you watching.